engineering or business or accounting or legal. I think all of these things are going to get disrupted really badly with AI, right? And so if you're looking at 5, 10 years in the future, and if you want to be a good businessman or a businesswoman 5, 10 years in the future, then these three skills can enable you to start any business. And then I remember we created our own version of Zoom, right? Where so basically, like, students cannot shut their video.
Do you think that Indian students can compete with other foreign students?
For example, I really feel that some of the smartest kids I've met are Pakistani kids.
Do you think that wealth creation is possible without having a business?
No.
What is something that you have learned from your family? Hello everyone, today with me I have a person जिनको introduction की तो शायद ज़्यादा ज़रूरत नहीं है. The man who is revolutionizing education and replacing rote learning with hands-on learning. With me I have Pratham Bhaiya who has built Masters Union and Tether. So कैसे हो भैया? How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
So let's start this conversation with a question that what are some skills of the 21st century that students should learn so that they get rich in a way?
So I think many of the hard skills of the last 1 century, you know, whether it's engineering or business or accounting or legal, I think all of these things are going to get disrupted really badly with AI, right? And so
Yeah.
I don't think the jobs that exist today, many of them, I don't think will exist in the future. And hence, I feel that for the future, what you really need are three things. First is a sense and this confidence, this ability to take risks, right? Um, I think that is very underappreciated. Like, you mentioned at the beginning that you started this podcast not knowing where this is going, right? But you're learning
Yeah.
each day and you're growing each day. And you're okay with this ambiguity, and you've started this journey without a complete roadmap of what the next 5, 10 years would look like, and you have that ability कि हो जाएगा figure out. तो एक तो वो चाहिए. I think दूसरा, you need to be able to work with people. Again, very underappreciated. I think सबको लगता है कि they're easy to work with, but some people are not easy to work with. And I think if you can have this sense of collaboration with other people, and if you can bring smiles to other people's faces, and if you can become a positive influence on your team around you, right? I think that's a huge skill. You should be an energy giver, not an energy sucker. And the third is this talent of being able to structure your thoughts in a way that easily makes sense to other people, right? So if I'm, let's say, making an argument to you why you should build a podcast, and I just go on some rant, right? यार इसलिए करना चाहिए क्योंकि ये लोग भी करते हैं, इसलिए करना चाहिए क्योंकि पैसे बन जाते हैं, इसलिए करना चाहिए. That's not a very structured response. A structured response could be that in India, podcast listeners are increasing by 30% every month. Because of that, we need 300 more podcasters. And these are the few niches that have not been explored till now. Maybe lifestyle has been overexplored, or politics has been overexplored, but let's say education has not been explored, or books has not been explored. So let's figure out that one particular niche. And then in that particular niche, how are you going to target, right? I'm going to target by, starting on YouTube, and then I'll do some shorts on YouTube plus Instagram. And then I'll have my blog where people can read more in-depth analysis. And then I'll have a Patreon where I can actually fundraise for my channel, right? It's a very structured way of thinking. And very few people have this talent. Even the art of asking questions, the way you frame questions, and the way you listen to answers. I think all of that skill is also part of that structured thinking. So these three skills are very important, and no AI can take this away from you.
But these can't lead to make you money. What are some hard skills? Like, let me rephrase this question. What are some hard skills that can come that can make you like a nice living in the age of AI?
I think these three things, right? Because AI can do all the skill work, all the job work AI can do. So then you need to be able to work with people better. You need to be able to take these risks, start these projects. Those are the only ways you're going to differentiate yourself and hopefully make money, right? Like for example, many people don't know how to build a podcast, but the confidence with which you started, the structure with which you started, you reached out to me, you followed up, right? It's a very structured way of doing things. All of these things, these talents, these skills will make you money hopefully in the future, right? But just doing UI UX, that will get disrupted. Just doing coding, that will get disrupted. Just doing DevOps, that will get disrupted. So if you're looking at 5, 10 years in the future, and if you want to be a good businessman or a businesswoman 5, 10 years in the future, then these three skills can enable you to start any business, right? And hopefully be able to make money. So I still keep my answer, even after reframing, that sense of collaboration, a sense of belief, and uh, I think it's more than enough to begin.
So, like in your program, you ask students to create content. What do you think is the future of content creation?
I think again, I feel there are two parts to content, right? One is the scripting, the second is the production. And I think the production part will completely be taken over by AI. Right? I don't think 5 years from now, if you want to do a podcast with, let's say, me again, I don't think both of us will actually come take out this 1 hour and actually have this conversation. I think that you will tell your avatar and I will tell my avatar to have this conversation, and we will just brief the avatar in a way, right?
Yeah,
But I think
yeah.
that scripting part, right? Understanding what people want to listen, understanding what the audience really wants. I think if you focus on that scripting part, that will keep your job AI proof, right? Production will be done by AI. The scripting, understanding what your customers really want and then framing your questions like that. I think that is something that will be difficult for AI to do. At least in the next 5 to 10 years, maybe in 20, 30 years, it will be easily doable by it.
Also, I think that the mindset of people is changing related to content creation. Like
Hmm.
2-3 years back, everyone just thought कि जिसको कुछ करना नहीं आता वो content create करके पैसे कमा लेगा. But now things have changed. What are the reasons for that that you think? कि ऐसे हुआ है mindset shift हुआ है लोगों का.
Yeah. I think people for entertainment have moved away from TV screens and cinema screens to their phone screens, right? So all the money that used to be made by TV actors and TV producers and Ekta Kapoor and large production houses, now all of that money is divided amongst millions of creators because people's habits have shifted from large screens to small screens, and that's why creators are now making a good amount of wealth for themselves because they're able to create content that is almost better suited to the customer's needs than what Ekta Kapoor was making, on TV
Yeah.
many many years back. So I think this transformation will only increase, where independent content creators will eventually, and if not already they are, I'm not sure. Eventually, they will take a larger share of the advertiser's pie, right? Take that
Yeah.
traffic away from. The only thing I think creators cannot compete with is cricket right now. But let's see how that also progresses.
So, what if something like COVID strikes again? Like that would defeat your whole purpose of like masters union, because at the end you say you have practitioner based learning. In online it won't work. It is like totally different in face to face and online. So what do you foresee in that scenario?
No, I think even right now, almost 40-50% of Masters Union courses are run online. So while I'm a big fan of offline, and I think there's some things that are best learned offline, but if we have to move online and we don't have an option, then we'll have to change. So yes, it will not be exactly what we set out to do, as Masters Union. And we'll have to think of new tools that we'll have to come up with online. Zoom maybe not be enough. So I remember when we had just started, wave two or wave three happened, right? And we had to move everything online. And when we had to move everything online, the quality wasn't as good. And then I remember we created our own version of Zoom, right? Where
Oh, how?
so basically, like students cannot shut their video; the video will always be
Oh
on,
God.
right? We created very interesting tools where um, the curriculum was sort of intertwined with the video. We had put at that
Okay.
now there are quizzes etc that can be built inside of Zoom, but at that time that wasn't there, so we built that feature separately. We also created this like live chat which would go on right next to the live stream, and we created a lot of these tools that made online education a little bit more real, and we'll have to continue building that if something like COVID happens again. The other thing is that we are a very small campus. We are not thousands of tens of thousands of students, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we can practice good social distancing. We can practice good scheduling such that the campus is not overwhelmed and there's no rush. But let me put it that way, that if COVID strikes again, my problems would be a lot larger than just Masters Union, I
Yeah,
think we'll be
yeah.
facing a existential issue then.
ये जो टेक्नोलॉजी बनाई थी कि वीडियो ऑफ नहीं कर सकते, ये प्लीज बाहर मत आने देना। हमें पढ़ना पड़ेगा।
Correct.
Do you think that Indian students can compete with other foreign students? And like the reason I'm asking this question is that children in foreign are like more experienced. जैसे ही वो like 18 वगैरह के हो जाते हैं, they start working in McDonald's and all of these things. So what are your views on that?
यार देखो, कुछ स्ट्रेंथ उन बच्चों की है, कुछ स्ट्रेंथ हमारे बच्चों की है। उन बच्चों की स्ट्रेंथ मुझे जरूर ऐसा लगता है कि वो स्ट्रीट स्मार्ट थोड़े ज्यादा होते हैं, राइट? क्योंकि उनको थोड़ा सा ग्लोबल एक्सपोजर या वर्ल्डली एक्सपोजर होता है जल्दी लाइफ में। पर इंडियन बच्चे ज्यादा हार्डवर्क कर सकते हैं, इंडियन बच्चे थोड़े ज्यादा स्ट्रक्चर्ड थिंकिंग करते हैं। तो दोनों की अपनी स्ट्रेंथ्स और अपनी वीकनेसेस हैं। कई चीजों में मुझे लगता है कि हम थोड़ा पीछे हैं उनसे, कई चीजों में मुझे लगता है वो हमसे काफी पीछे हैं, हैविंग वर्क विद नाउ बोथ काइंड्स ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स। So, like for example, I really feel that some of the smartest kids I've met are Pakistani kids, right?
How?
Because I have Pakistani kids in Tetter, where we have kids from 45 countries.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did this one exercise with them, which is when I'd ask them some mathematics question. It's like a slightly difficult mathematics question, and it's like a twisted question, and there were students from 45 countries, 100 of them, but only 3 got it right. And all those 3 happened to be from Pakistan, right? And what are the chances of that? So, but yeah, everyone has some strengths and some weaknesses. It's very difficult to generalize also, I would say. And I think it's changing now. Also, a lot of Indian kids also now have this exposure. They've been doing
Yeah, yeah.
internships. They have some, like look at you. So I think things are changing.
Like in the foreign, I have a friend who just moved to this New Zealand, and वहाँ पर is like full hands-on learning. I don't know what exactly is that, but they teach students to make clothes out of fabric. Then they also give them some sort of heart model or something. I don't know exactly what exactly is that. And then the child dissects that and sees what is inside that. So that also I feel is a difference in them and us.
It's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, there are a lot of learnings that we have. So, for example, I was born in a family where my dad used to go to work every day and he would take me along. And so just going to work with my dad also was hands-on learning for me, and that doesn't exist in the US or in Western countries where kids generally don't go with their parents to work. So in our
Yeah,
family
yeah.
businesses, etc., we are exposed to our hands-on learning very early on, if you think about it, which they are not. So everyone has some things, some strengths, some weaknesses.
What is something that you have accomplished or experienced in your life that no one else knows, but that kind of holds great meaning to you?
I think we spend a lot of time thinking about the future of education. I don't think that in the future we'll have the same classrooms and same exams and same lectures and same grades, same CBSE, ICSE, class 10, class 12 boards. I think this construct will not exist in the future. The future needs will be very different. And I feel proud of the fact that we are making some contribution in that evolution of education. And I think only looking back, in the future, people will see that, हाँ, ये कुछ change तो हुआ था इस time पे. But when you're actually doing it, it's very incremental. मतलब हर रोज थोड़े थोड़े changes होते हैं, हर साल छोटे छोटे changes होते हैं. Eventually, they will hopefully snowball. So I'm very proud कि हम ये काम कर पा रहे हैं. But अभी शायद अभी इसका हमें recognition अभी नहीं मिलेगी, शायद हो सकता है 20-25 साल बाद जाके मिले.
पर मिलेगी पक्का. I am
Let's
quite
hope
sure
so.
of that.
It's not even for the recognition. I'm doing it for my own future children. Like when I'll become a father, I wouldn't want them to be studying the same way that I studied. And
For
I
the
probably
impact.
studied. I probably studied the same way my parents studied, and they are very unhappy about it. Yeah, जब हम पढ़ते थे और जब तुम पढ़ते थे, same किताब, same system, same वही. कुछ तो change होना चाहिए. दुनिया कितनी change हो गई है.
So, do you think that wealth creation is possible without having a business?
No,
No way.
no, I don't see how that will happen. If you're in a job, you have to be in a very good job, and I think only top 0.1% of the people would qualify for a job which can actually make them wealth. Right? So CEOs, presidents, partners, at large investment banks, I think those are the only people who can justifiably create wealth from a job. Otherwise, I think you'll have to become an entrepreneur.
What do you think that truly impresses someone beyond surface level charm?
I think people are becoming very smart now. So surface level charm actually does not work. In fact, surface level
Yeah.
charm can actually be repulsive. ये सिर्फ दिखाने का ही है बंदा, मतलब वो लोग बोल ही देते हैं ना आजकल तो. तो आई थिंक ऑथेंटिसिटी कि यार मतलब इससे बात करी तो लग रहा है कि यार ये सच बोल रहा है, राइट, चाहे चार्म हो चाहे ना हो. People now are very smart. Yeah, they see through superficial features. They really want to see the depth in your eyes. They want to see the depth in your arguments. They want to see the depth in your voice. So up to I think it's all about authenticity. Authenticity builds trust, and trust builds relationships. Right? Surface level charm. तो वो time गया I think of that क्या कहते हैं snake oil salesman. वो पहले होता था कि आप say you can sell your way into anything, but now people have all the information. If you fake something, they will go check on Google and prove you wrong.
If failure was like no longer possible, what is the boldest thing that you would attempt?
I think I'm already attempting it to change the education system.
Still anything other than that?
I think it's a very big goal, and other than that, I maybe would go back to professional swimming. I used to swim professionally and compete. Maybe I'd love to go back to that. That used to give me a lot of happiness.
You don't swim now?
Not competitively. I just swim for relaxation now. But I'd love to go back to competitive swimming. मजा आता था काफी.
So, like, if we swapped roles for a day, and I am the founder of Masters Union and Tetter, what is one rule or tradition that you would want me to implement?
Whatever it is that I want to do, I'm already doing. But something that I want to do that I've not done yet, if that's your question, I think would be to build more campuses across the country. Right now, Masters Union is only in Delhi. And I think it would be very interesting if we could have, let's say, 4 or 5 campuses and students are actually traveling between the campuses within India.
Like Tetter.
Like Tetter, but within India. So I wish there was a Tetter version within India,
Yeah.
I think that could be very cool.
Imagine you are hosting dinner with like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. What is the first topic that you would bring up to break that ice?
Ask the question again.
Like you are hosting it's a hypothetical scenario that you are hosting a dinner with Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. What is the first topic that you would like to bring up on the table to break the ice?
Got it. Hmm. I think I would ask Elon how, if he was the CEO of Apple, what he would do differently. And I would ask Steve Jobs, if you were the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, what would you do differently? I think that would start a very good argument between the two. And it would be great to witness that.
झगड़े कराने में मजे आते हैं आपको.
I think झगड़ों में कभी कभी बड़े इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट्स निकल कर आते हैं.
So what points do you expect from that conversation?
And I think both of them are great leaders and they've built great companies, but I think their styles are very, very different. In some ways, their styles are similar, but in some ways, their styles are very different. So I'd love to see, if Steve Jobs was making a Tesla car, what that would look like, what kind of things he will think about. And if Elon Musk was building Apple iPhones, then I'm guessing he would make them to be very open ended. Right now, iPhones and the iOS structure is very closed loop, right? You can't, it's not as open as Android. So I'd love to see how they would argue, how they would debate, and what kind of new innovations they can come up with together. Like independently, they did such amazing things. Together, if you were to put them in the same room and say, you now start a company together, as co-founders, so what will they create? That would be so cool to understand.
How can a good teacher be a great teacher?
By not considering their students to be consumers of information, which is what most teachers today think, right? कि हमें syllabus पूरा करना है. I think what teachers should do is think about how they can get the student excited about that particular course. And if the student is excited about that course, that topic, then automatically the student will learn himself or herself. You wouldn't have to teach only. So teacher's job should just be to light the candle, right? And the candle is lit. वो अपने आप सीख लेगा सारा कुछ या सीख लेगी सारा कुछ. So good teachers can teach well, great teachers can inspire.
Yeah, like that happened with me also. In the 8th class, I had a history teacher. Now, to she left, she just came for 1 year. And she used to teach in such a efficient way. Like वो history पढ़ाती थी, बहुत boring सा subject था. But वो बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ाती थी. और जो भी डाउट्स वगैरह आते थे वो बहुत अच्छे से मतलब मज़े से सॉल्व करती थी. वो कहते थे कि डाउट्स लेकर आओ, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है सॉल्व करना. सो जो बच्चे होते थे वो जानबूझ के घर पे जाकर पूरा पढ़ते थे कि कोई तो डाउट लेकर आएंगे, फिर विल शाइन इन द होल क्लास. तारीफ होती थी जो भी डाउट्स लेके आता था, whoever is curious.
I can imagine.
What do you prefer, course or degree?
Yeah, I think in the future there may be no concept of degrees, and I think there may be also no concept of courses. I think अभी हम लोग ये लेके चलते हैं ना कि पहले आप स्कूल खत्म करते हो, फिर आप कॉलेज में जाते हो, फिर आप अपनी लाइफ जीते हो. आई थिंक दुनिया इतनी चेंज हो रही है कि शायद आपको कॉलेज 3-4 बार जाना पड़े, राइट? मतलब when you are 40 you may have to go back to college again because दुनिया इतनी चेंज हो गई है. Then maybe at 60 you have to go back to college again, right? पहले we used to live to 60-65, that was the average age, but that is increasing very fast. If we are going to live to 100, right? So when you are 95 years old and you went to college 75 years ago, तो आपकी जो नॉलेज और स्किल्स उस टाइम की थी वो तो रेलेवेंट ही नहीं होंगी आज के दिन. तो मुझे लगता है कि फ्यूचर में शायद this lifelong learning will come in, where you are not just going to college once, but you're actually improving yourself every day of your life. This college system, I think, will not. I don't think this college system will last. Maybe instead of going to college for 4 years in your life, you'll go to college for 1 hour every day for your life.
But अभी तो like AI का जमाना है. That's why the times are changing so fast. Do you think that आगे भी ऐसे ही रहेगा?
AI नहीं तो कुछ और आ जाएगा. But मुझे लगता है कि the pace of innovation because of AI will increase much faster than it has in the last 10 years, right? Like if you think between 1900 and 2000, life changed a little bit. Now, since the time you were born and today, life has changed so much, right? Jobs have changed completely. Computers, gadgets, the way we interact. This podcast is happening over Riverside, right? Did not exist 10 years ago. We would have to meet, right? And now editing happens by AI. Everything is changing, and because of that, I feel the pace of change is not going to decrease. AI can also make things move much faster. पहले एक ऐप बनाने में 2 दिन लगते थे. अब वही सेम ऐप
AI
आपकी 2
की
मिनट में
मदद
बन
से
जाती है.
कल मैं आई वाज ट्राइंग अ यूआई
है ना?
एंड बस एक प्रॉम्प्ट डालना है एंड द होल यूआई इज डन. Like that's the
Yeah,
technology today. Not even UI coding, maybe you can just stick that design into that जो भी वो देते हैं and the whole code gets written in whatever language you want, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, anything. But I also feel that with the coming of AI,
Correct.
the nature of the jobs will change. It is not that jobs will decrease.
I think the concept of jobs is also only 100 years old. The concept of a company is, I think, maybe 150 years old, right? And the concept of employment is, this is all last 150, 120 years. So who's to say that this will remain the same? Maybe in the future, and I'm not saying people will have nothing to do. I'm saying this concept of you working for somebody else in exchange for money. I don't know if that will last. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But my sense is that in the future, it could be the case that all companies are single individual companies with single individual employee, and the rest of the work is done by AI agents. I think that is a very real possibility, and very soon we'll see the first $1 billion unicorn come in, which will only have one
Yeah,
employee.
it can happen. But not everyone has that risk taking appetite. Like you are saying that entrepreneurs will increase
When
and
the
the
world is
people
changing.
who are employed in jobs will kind of decrease, right?
No, I'm saying the concept of employment only may not agree, may not be there, right? Like this concept that you take an employment somewhere, you apply for a job, right? Who's to say that itself will stay? शायद वही चेंज हो जाए. शायद एम्प्लॉइज की जरूरत ही नहीं है अब कंपनीज को. यदि मेरे को कोई आइडिया है तो मैं एआई एजेंट से काम करवा लूंगा. यूआई एआई एजेंट बना देगा, ऑलरेडी बनता ही है, आप जैसे कह रहे हो. टेक एआई बना देगा, ऑलरेडी बनता ही है. सेल्स भी आजकल काफी ऑनलाइन बॉट्स आ गए हैं जो काफी कुछ कर देते हैं. ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर कमिंग इन, राइट? तो हो सकता है कि कॉन्सेप्ट ही चेंज हो जाए एम्प्लॉयमेंट का. जॉब्स रहे ही ना एज अ, नॉट कि जॉब्स कम हो जाए. आने वाले टाइम में शायद we all go back to working for ourselves and use agents as our resources.
Be freelancers.
And everyone know, and everyone has a, it's not that you have the option to now choose entrepreneurship, right? Like that's the only way to live
Everyone
life.
will ultimately fall into that.
Or maybe like there is something, this very interesting concept called universal basic income. So it could be that there is no it could be that there is no uh, job, no one has a need to work only, right? Maybe even not even become an entrepreneur, and that the government will just give everybody a basic universal income, and then everyone is just like, sitting in the sun entire day and chilling their lives.
But
It's totally
even
possible.
the government could be AI.
Yes, absolutely, the government could be AI. And अभी सब अपने कोई बड़ी साइंस फिक्शन वाली चीजें लग रही हैं, but this, I mean, the technology is here.
What is one major learning that you have got from all this experience of building Tetter and Masters Union?
I've learned that if you set your eyes to a target, and if you align your entire team to that target, तो वो target achieve हो जाता है.
Great. What is something that you have learned from your family?
I think from different people, I try to learn different things. From my mom, I have learned patience, tolerance. From my dad, I've learned creativity, hard work. From my sister, I've learned sensitivity, compassion. Yeah, I think different people teach you different things.
And And that wraps up
Okay.
this incredible conversation with Pratham Bhai. From redefining education to shaping future entrepreneurs, his journey and insights are nothing short of inspiring. If today's episode resonated with you, don't forget to share it with your friends and leave us a review. It helps us to reach more listeners like you. And remember, innovation starts with learning, and learning begins with curiosity.